Here we are. Welcome to the home of Unitarian Universalism in Central Washington. My name is Deb Miller, and I serve on the worship team. Members of the youth group are helping me lead the service this morning. If you're a visitor this morning, and I see we do have visitors, we are so glad that you are here. We welcome every person of goodwill, just as you are, whatever body you inhabit, whomever you love, whatever your age, you are welcome here. We invite everyone to join us for coffee and treats and conversation after the service, both in person and on Zoom. For the folks on Zoom, you will find the order of service in the chat this morning. Now, please take just a moment and greet those around you, especially someone you don't know. Okay. So this morning is our fire communion service. We are going to use the transformative powers of the flame to bring about transformation in a ritual of letting go of the past and welcoming the future. Everyone will be welcome to participate, and you are also free to simply observe if you wish, letting go of the old year and welcoming the new year in your own way. If you're here celebrating with your young family, I don't know that we have super young kids in here this morning. I just want to encourage the older generation to support the younger generation in the flashing communion portion of the service. For our friends who are on Zoom this morning, please be sure to grab some paper and a pencil or pen for full participation in the first part of the communion service. If you choose to burn your notes at home of the things you choose to let go, please do so safely. Having a chalice or some sort of light nearby for the second part of the communion also is an option for participating together with us.
This morning's opening words come from Hafiz. Light will someday split you open, even if your life is now a cage. Little by little, you will turn into stars. Little by little, you will turn into the whole sweet, amorous universe. Love will surely burst you wide open into an unfettered, booming new galaxy. You'll become so free in a wonderful, secret, and pure love that flows from a conscious, one-pointed, infinite light. Even then, my dear, the beloved will have fulfilled just a fraction of a promise he wrote upon your heart. For a divine seed, the crown of destiny is hidden and sown on an ancient, fertile plain you hold the title to. Oh, look again within yourself, for I know you were once the elegant host to all the marvels in creation. When your soul begins to ever bloom and laugh and spin in eternal ecstasy, oh, little by little, you will turn into God.
Chalice and flame symbolize our congregation, gathered in principles and faith. If you are at home and have a chalice with you, please join me now in the lighting of it. We light this chalice here in the darkness of winter as we wait. This temporary space is one filled with prayers to be answered. love to be given and received, miracles to be witnessed. May this light guide us until the light of the sun returns again.
This morning's wisdom is the poem The Hill We Climb by poet and activist Amanda Gorman. The poem has been separated into two parts for today's service. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but this doesn't mean we're striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so that we can reach our arms out to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say that this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy, and this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated.
So this morning, we are gathered at the threshold of a new year. New beginnings, new intentions, new possibilities. The Amplifier Communion Service has served our congregation for many years as a time of ritual to reflect on the past year, letting go of things that no longer serve us, and a time to reignite our inner light to guide our journey ahead. I don't know about you, to 2024. The dash between pre and post The dash between pre and post COVID seems longer than I had planned it to be, and still, it isn't really post COVID yet. Our congregation knows that firsthand. I believe we have all learned a lot during the pandemic, at least I did. Amanda Gorman's poem was written for a presidential inauguration nearly 3 years ago, yet the words are as relevant today for the political and non-political events as they were in 2021 when she penned it. In my professional world, and maybe for some of you, there were many inequities exposed and broken systems revealed during the pandemic. The lingering challenges in the never-ending shade of post-public health emergency will take time to fix. Yet, as Gorman praised, Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together victorious. Terry Tempest Williams once said, "The human heart is the first home of democracy. It is where we embrace our questions. Can we be equitable? Can we be generous? Can we listen with our whole beings, not just our minds, and offer our attention rather than our opinions? And do we have enough resolve in our hearts to act courageously, relentlessly, without giving up, ever, trusting our fellow citizens to join us in our determined pursuit for a living democracy?" In her poem, The Hill We Climb, the young poet used the metaphor as a representation of equality and optimism, presenting that Americans are engaged in a healing journey of self-reflection and self-retrospection. Nearly 3 years later, we remain on the hillside of the healing journey. The hill we climb, if only we dare. It's because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. Climbing hills and mountains is a frequently used phrase to describe challenges we face, the challenges of a healing journey or the long road of a new life quest. How many of us have heard the age-old idiom from one of our ancestors? "I walked uphill both directions in the snow just to get to school." This idiom is often used to emphasize the hardship and struggles faced, and is usually said in comparison to the supposedly easier conditions of the present. While the phrase is often used humorously, it can also convey a sense of pride in having overcome past difficulties and a reminder to appreciate current comforts. As we come to the end of 2023, each with a different life experience that formed hills of varying sizes in our personal journeys, let us take a moment to think about events from the past, and particularly of this past year, that we would like to move past, to put behind us, to let go, to overcome. What griefs, hopes, losses, failures, or unwelcome burdens linger for you at the close of this year? Are there things you said or that you wish you hadn't said or done? Are there things you didn't say or do that you wish you had? Sources of never-ending shade that you want to let go so your light can shine brighter? Let us take a moment for a short reflective practice. It's called the Inner Flame. It's from my friend Kari Lyons Price at Meditate Wenatchee. Let's pause, take a breath. If you are comfortable, close your eyes and invite your body and mind to soften and your breath to arrive and depart naturally and with ease. Find the gap between your breaths. And notice in this moment where your inner flame or fire is at. Can it be felt in the body? Imagined in the mind? If it had a gauge, how full would it register right now? not judging ourselves or slipping into desire for something that's not here. Keep your attention here for a few more breaths, softening your mind and body, keeping your inner gaze on your energy, your inner fire. Now ask yourself, what is one thing that sparks my inner fire, that brings a sense of fullness, confidence, purpose, contentment, inspiration, a grounded and balanced energy? Maybe it's singing. Maybe it's coming to fellowship, dancing or drumming in a full moon circle, a candlelight bath, journaling. What depletes or subtracts from your inner fire? What causes your flame to be a sad little flicker? Can you see and feel the truth of your inner flame in this moment? Is there an obstacle in the way of your inner fire? Something that if you let it go, let it be, the sad little flicker would burn brighter? Let's take one more deep breath together. And as you open your eyes, I invite you to pull out the papers that you were given when you arrived. And there should be pencils in the backs of all of the seats. If you need a pencil, please raise your hand. River or Isis can get you. It looks like River has the pencils. If you need a pencil. If you need a piece of paper, Chris has got paper. Raise your hand and we'll make sure. We're going to take a few minutes in quiet silence and just write and reflect what came to mind as you were reflecting on your inner fire. What you want to let go. Okay, as everybody is wrapping up, I'm going to ask Ivy and Isis to take their spots at the table. Sorry, River. I'll tell them that, yeah. So, I'm going to try to figure out the logistics of this morning in the round. My theory is the folks on this side of the fellowship are going to line up behind River and walk this way and use River's flame to burn your paper. The folks on this side of the fellowship will line up here. I'll move my stuff out of the way, and we'll work with ISIS on this end. And after you burn your paper, so do not, here's what we discovered. We are using flash paper this morning, and flash paper is what magicians use, and it really does flash. You need to leave the paper flat. The more you fold it, the tighter you fold it, the faster it burns, and it's kind of scary. So we would prefer that we not burn down this fellowship and that you are careful. Whoa, I know it's a good idea, Steve, but we're just not quite ready yet. Darn it, darn it. And then after you've burned your paper, each of you is going to get a little sticker, and you're going to get a little battery-operated votive. These votives, I tested them, they are hard to turn on. Oh my goodness. So River and Isis are going to help turn those on, and you'll just carry those back to your seat. We'll use them a little bit later in the service. Now, we're going to do music on the screen for this portion of it. So when everybody is ready, Darius, I would say once people start lining up, then you can start the song. How's that sound? So I invite folks to start lining up to burn and let go of this past year. Oh yeah, we could do a quick demonstration. Yep, don't burn yourself. All right, here we go. And residual ashes serve as a reminder of what once was and now no longer has any fuel to give to our emotions or energy to control our lives.
This is the hill we climb continued. In this truth, in this faith, we trust. For while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour. But within it, we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be. A country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy, and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from our bronze-pounded chests, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the windswept northeast where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and dutiful, will emerge battered but beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
In his book, The Second Mountain, The Quest for a Moral Life, author David Brooks looks at a range of people who have lived joyous lives, committed lives, and who have embraced the necessity of dependence. He gathers their wisdom on how to choose a partner, how to pick a vocation, how to live out a philosophy, and how we can begin to integrate our commitments into an overriding purpose. I read this book recently and was moved by it. It is said that his book is meant to help us all lead more meaningful lives, but it is also a provocative social commentary. We live in a society, Brooks says, that celebrates freedom, that tells us to be true to ourselves at the expense of surrendering to a cause. Rooting ourselves in a neighborhood, binding ourselves to others by social solidarity and love. In it, he writes, "The people who have been made larger by suffering are brave enough to let parts of their old self die. Down in the valley, their motivations changed. They've gone from self-centered to other-centered. He calls these people weavers." Brooks founded Weave, the social fabric project at the Aspen Institute. Weave tackles the problem of broken social trust that has left Americans divided, lonely, and in social gridlock. It connects, supports, and invests in local leaders stepping up to weave a new, inclusive social fabric where they live. In his book, Brooks goes on to say, there is another way to find belonging. There is another way to find meaning and purpose. There is another vision of a healthy society. It is through relationalism. It is by going deep into ourselves and finding there our illimitable ability to care, and then spreading outward in commitment to others. In this manifesto, I try to make the case against the hyper-individualism of the current moment and for relationalism, a better way to live. On the surface of our lives, most of us build the hard shell. It is built to cover fear and insecurity and win approval and success. When you get down to the core of yourself, you find a different, more primeval country, and in it, a deep yearning to care and connect. You could call this deep core of yourself the pleroma, or substrate. It is where your heart and soul reside. As you step out of the shade of 2023 and into 2024, aflame and unafraid, what are your brave intentions? What hopes, dreams, and aspirations fuel your inner fire to burn brighter? In the words of Rumi, if everything around you seems dark, look again. You may be the light. As we end our fire communion service this morning, I invite you to lift up your small tea lights that you were handed. For those of you on Zoom, you can hold your chalice and other light in your hands. Our benediction this morning is from James Morrison. Within each of our hearts, there is a most glorious light. Go forth and let its spark help you understand what troubles both you and others. Go forth and let its light of reason be a guide in your decisions. Go forth and bring its ray of hope to those in need of help in both body and spirit, that they may find healing. Go forth and fan the flames of passion to heal our world. Go forth and spread the warm glow of love, pushing back the darkness of the world. Go forth and share your glorious light with the world.
And now please rise as we extinguish our chalice. Please join me in saying the words printed in your order of service or on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you, everyone. Now, it may be tricky to circle up because I know it's really cozy in the back rows, but let's circle up for our final song, Carry the Flame.